Hello students, welcome back. Welcome back to Logistics in Manufacturing, Supply Chain and Distribution. Unit 4, Part 2. So here we're going to see about controlling, why it is very much needed and how it contributes. So first, let us discuss what is controlling. The process of measuring performance and taking actions to ensure desired results. It helps to ensure that objectives and accomplishments are consistent with one another throughout an organization. It helps maintain compliance with essential organization rules and policies. Done well, it ensures that overall directions of the individuals and groups are consistent with short and long range plans because you need control over the entire system, because without control we cannot see the entire system following through and achieving the short and the long range plans. So that is important. So controlling is an important function of management. It is important because it became apparent when we find that it is needed in all the functions of management. It checks the mistakes and tells us how new challenges can be met or faced. One of the key aspect of controlling, identifying the problem, identifying the mistake is one of the key phases. The success of the organization thus hinges on the effective control. Controlling is the last function of the management process, which is performed after planning, organizing, staffing, and directing. That is, you take up any aspect, you take up a bigger project, you need a planning, you need an organization, and you need a procurement, you need staffing, you need more employees. You start up the procurement, you start up the erection process, and you will be directing to the entire project where every step needs a control. On the other hand, management control means the process to be adopted in order to complete the function of controlling. So, the importance of controlling becomes clear from the following facts. Accomplishing the organization goal, because every company seems to main aspect is to accomplish their goal. So how controlling process is contributing is it implements to take care of the plans. With the help of controlling, deviations are immediately detected if there is any deviation from the planned activities, and correction action is to be taken. Therefore, the difference between the expected results and the actual results is being reduced to the minimum. In this way, controlling is helpful in achieving the goals of the organization. So, judging accuracy of standards, because when you talk about standards, it's not only about standards of a product or a material. While performing the functions of controlling, a manager compares the actual work performance with the standard. He tries to find out whether the laid down standards are not more or less than the general standards. In case of need, they are being redefined. One of the important aspects in industrial engineering is how to compare the actual work performance with the standard performance. Making efficient use of resources. Controlling makes it possible to use human and physical resources efficiently. Under controlling, it is ensured that no employee deliberately delays his work performance. When you talk about this, you are making sure that every employee is being at his best performance. Also, you are stating that the controlling is not being in a negative impact also. Improving employee motivation through the medium of controlling, an effort is made to motivate the employees. The implementation of controlling makes all the employees to work with complete dedication because they know that their work performance will be evaluated, and if the progress report is satisfactory, they will have their identity established in the organization. This is one of the key things every manager has to follow up so that their controlling is in a positive attribute and also being effective. Ensuring order and discipline. Controlling ensures order and discipline with its implementation. All the undesirable activities like theft, corruption, delay in work, uncooperative, uncooperative attitudes are being checked at the very initial stages itself. Facilitating coordination in action. Coordination among all the departments of the organization is necessary in order to achieve the organizational objective successfully. Because without coordination, no department can fulfill their objectives. All the departments of the organizations are being interdependent. That is, example, the supply of orders by the sales department depends on the production of goods by the production department. Because without the production, there cannot be any orders taken up for the sales. This is an easy to understand. So facilitating coordination in action is very much needed. That is, when you take up any automobile companies, the companies has to look into it. That is, each and every plant is performing at the best. Because when you talk about different plants, that is, stamping will be the initial phase. So then framework will come. Everything has to work like in a cyclic manner. That is like a like a clockwise manner. Because the if any one of the plant is not performing well or being underperformed, it will lead to the bigger issues in the coordination. So what is the link between planning and control? Because control and planning are interrelated so closely, they cannot be separated from each other just like that, but only the words being separated. So without control, all the planning is being fruitless, because control consists of the steps which needs to be taken to ensure that the performance and the of performance of the organization conforms the plan. Because whatever planning you do, you're going to put it in a sequence of steps. Each step has to be done. So if any step is being beaten down, that means that there is no control over the step. It means that we cannot reach the highest performance for the organization. So in other words, control is concerned with the actual performance in relation to the standards which is being set in advance, and the correction of deviations, which is also being planned up in the beginning itself, but not every corrections can be identified at the very starting stage itself. So different problems arise at different places. So corrective deviations to ensure the attainment of the objective is also put in motion. Planning is required at the very outset of management, whereas control is required at the last stages. That is, when I plan something, you plan up, you put it out, you do a brainstorming, but at the very last stage, when you are implementing that, you need a control over that entire step. If planning is looking ahead, control is being looking back. It's more like a front and back. So, in fact, control is a process of checking to determine whether or not proper progress is being made towards the objective and goals set by the management while doing the planning aspect. So, what are the three steps of different types of control? So, feed forward control is like input, which is going to state that, as we discussed, anticipate the problems and lay out the corrective actions over there. Concurrent control corrects the problem as they happen. This is the most important step or the most important thing which happens in every organization, because no organization is going to have a easy way out or a smooth working conditions. Every system will have some problems which they need to be ready to correct that as they work up. Feedback is something which is we have not yet identified, but corrects the problems after they have been occurred. That is, once it has been done, we identify the problem, we identify those things, we identify the root cause. So with the help of a feedback control, we uh, control those kind of different problems. So feed forward control that takes place before the work is being performed, as we said. Managers using this type of control create policies, procedures, and rules aimed at eliminating the behavior that will cause undesirable work result. This type of control is helpful to managers because it allows the managers to plan work effectively. Although this control can be costly and can slow down the planning process, they help to avoid problems later on. So because every company, if you talk about, they have a set of policies which is being placed so that certain protocols needs to be followed. What is concurrent control? This is refers to the control that takes place as work is being performed. This means that the systems are monitored in real time. Concurrent controls being the standards and all employee activities measured against the standard. Usually, these include quality control standards. This means the product and service can be checked as they are being produced or performed to be sure the highest quality product or service is being produced or provided. That is, we do a real time quality inspection so that we can identify where the control is being lacked or where any kind of a deviation is happening. Usually, quality control is one of the biggest tool which is used in concurrent control. Feedback control. This refers to the control that concentrates on the post organizational performance. Managers exercising this type of control or attempting to take corrective action by looking at the organizational history over a specific time period. So, when you say about uh, organizational history, usually over here Pareto analysis or FMEA analysis, industrial engineering tools are being used so that they can review a specific time period. Why you need to review a specific time period is that conditions overlays at any given point of time can be referred to the history whether the same conditions were there or not, so that you can see what is happening over there, or any abnormality has happened or not. This history may involve one factor such as inventory level and may involve the relationship among many factors such as net income before the tax, sales volume, and marketing cost. So, feedback control is one of the important aspect, and data analysis is one of the biggest thing because right now Industry 4.0, that's that is the biggest activity. Big data is one of the biggest breakthrough which gives us to read the conditions precisely so that prediction can be made easy. So, what is the steps in control process? So, first, the thing is we need to establish standards and methods for measuring the performance. Establishing the standards is one important aspect. Take up any industries or any kind of an organization, could be a computer organization, could be service providers, it could be academicians, schools, colleges, government office, anything. But you need to establish a standard. So wherever you company right now we go over there, there is the set of standards is being already established, and how your performance is measured is also laid. Follow that, you need to measure the performance. It could be a product, it could be a process, employee, anything. But measuring the performance is important. Determination of whether the performance is matching the standards or not. Following that, corrective actions are being taken. So these are a broad scope of steps in control process. So establishing standards and methods for measuring the performance. So a company must develop, document, and explain clearly standards and methods for measuring particular performance has to be in a clear cut manner. So with, if possible, with an example, it is very uh, better for everyone to understand. These must be specific and understood so effective measuring of tasks and responsibilities can take place easily. This particular document has to be very easy to understand, even from the lower level to the higher level, so that everyone can understand what is, how they are being measured, how responsibility has to be taken, and what will happen if, what corrective actions can be taken into account. In this way, an enterprise can gain a good understanding of who is performing according to the company's objectives. Proper standards and methods for measuring performance helps a company tweak their process as required for better results. Because as you need, better results are the main concern for us. Performance measurements can help them see whether their process and procedures need any improvement or not. So as you see, Kaizen, continuous process is one of the important things. So performance measurement also helps uh, whether their process and procedures needs improvement or not. So it will state that there will be definitely an improvement which needs to be incorporated. So measuring the performance, this must be done in a consistent and regular manner to facilitate proper data acquisition to make informed decision concerning the performance. So this is not something which is not to be kept at a secret and all. So this data acquisition, how it is made, has to be transparent, and the informed decision based on that concerning performance also has to be made. This regular measuring gives management substantial information so that they can gain again make adjustments as necessary to their protocol. Because see, adjustments changes has to be made definitively, because no thing can stay the same way for improving the performance. So determining whether the performance matches the standards or so company management will compare the measured results with the standards which they have previously been established. That is, which is already put in a document. Therefore, they can determine if performance is up to their expectation or not. Because theoretically, any performance can be given, but in real time, whether it is achieved or not has to be identified. With this comparing, they can decide to abandon certain policies, procedures, or tasks, modify them, or leave them in the place. For example, if you state that any set of policies that is gonna go against an employee's aspect, that is, for example, they have to work 8 hours per shift without any break, such kind of policies has to be taken down. Why mean? Because they might affect the standards which is being already established. That set of standards has to be taken into account. So because of that, the compared results might be pretty low. So procedures are tasks which is non-value added to the customers has to be identified and taken. So if any process can be improved, they can be modified, or any process or steps or policies which is very effective and possibly very effective to the employees and all, it has been left them, so that every set of things will be gone through changes and reviewed at a relevant given period of time. So what do you mean by taking correction action? A company must use these informations gathered from the control process, not taking action based on relevant information, which shows a inefficiency or poor employee performance. Means they wasted their time and resources instituting the control process. So this has to be corrective actions has to be taken in a manner they must give solutions to the problems, not to just point out fingers to others that this is the problem. Toyota, if you take Toyota, is one of the reputed company which states that it is not the problem of the employee, it is a problem of the process. So you need to make foolproof system. That is their motto over there. Then they must ensure measure these corrective actions sometime down the road to see if they are performing up to corporate expectations. That is, you can we can make up different corrective actions, but we have to assume that whether it is performing up to that expectations or not. That has to be taken into account, because many different possible solutions are there, but which is optimized and which is much beneficial for the system has to be taken into account. Consequently, the control process is something that is ongoing in an organization to make sure that the business is performing optimally, because optimal is one of the key phase which is need to be taken into account. So what are the characteristics of effective control system? It has to be accurate, timely, objective, and comprehensible. Accurate, the information on performance must be very accurate. Evaluating the accuracy of the information they receive is one of the most important control tasks that a manager has to face. Timely information must be collected, routed, and evaluated quickly if action is to be taken in time to produce these improvements. Objective and comprehensible, the information in a control system should be understandable and be seen as an objective by the individual who uses it. A difficult to understand the control system will cause unnecessary mistakes and confusion or frustration among the employees. Because this is one of the case which is going to happen at every company. Because if any employee is not able to understand such a control system, then it has to be revised and modified. Focused on strategic control points. The control system should be focused on those areas where deviation from the standards are most likely to take place, or whether deviations will lead to the greatest harm. Economically realistic. The cost of implementing a control system should be less than or at most equal to the benefits derived from the control system. Organization realistics. The control system has to be compatible with organizational relatives, and all standards for the performance must be realistic. So, real time organization being real time is one of the important aspects. Coordinated with the organization's workflow. So, each step in the work process which affects the success or failure of the entire operation taken into account. The control information must get to all the people who need to receive. That is making sure the appropriate people receive those informations at the real time. So being flexible is also one of the most. Control is not something that must be rigid. Control must have flexibility built into them so that the organization can react quickly to overcome those adverse. These adverse changes are to take advantages of the new opportunities. So prescriptive and operational. So it has to indicate upon the detection and deviation from the standards. So whatever correction action should be taken. And then accepted by organization for a control system to be accepted, the control must relate to a meaningful and accepted goal. So this is also one of the important. Unachievable goals will demotivate your employees and lead to a downfall. So these are the characteristics can be applied to the controls at all levels of the organization, right? So these are the important things you need to know about the why control system is very needed in management aspect. So with this, we'll wind up the part two of unit 4. Thank you.